I was not joking. Take that therapist up there because there is something up there and it is scary.
Oh no, no. So our therapist works on psychiatric issues. She's only there for the psychiatric side of helping clients as far as the haunting side. Um,
Now, see, I understand that part, but I was ready for a therapist after coming down off that mountain that night with the light up there and being followed by something. It was terrifying, like nothing I have ever felt in my life.
and I agree. Like I said, we went up there in the dark, and yeah, that was bad enough. And even if I'm hunting, even just going for a small hike to the top of the first range, I will take at least a minute at a minimum. Take my kids, and again armed. And I remember specifically, I think it was last year, maybe 2 years ago. Our daughter actually heard it with me, and it was a very metallic sounding, almost like the downdraft of a helicopter. But there was no helicopter around, and it wasn't a bird. What was it? We have no idea. It kind of spooked both of us, and I don't get scared easy, but that one sounded very alien, and we weren't sticking around.
I'm not afraid of the dark, and I've wandered all over this ranch and stuff and everything. I don't scare or spook easily, but there is something on Haystack. I know there is. I've felt it, and the light that was up there. That oh my God, that chased us that night, it was crazy, and you can feel it in the air. And there's places that there is no air left, and it's so spooky up there. It's not even funny.
And here's where the difference is. You talk about your normal logging road, and you might have one or two deaths. Over the course of 50 years, however long logging road has been around. But when you're looking at a road like Haystack was a major thoroughfare at one point. And do you know when they had the ferry up and running? That would have been in the 1900s, correct?
Yeah, yeah, it was because my dad was born in '41, and it was when he was going to school and stuff. So it was in the '50s.
Okay. So more recent than I thought. Um, where was so back in the early days, they had the concrete plant on the north side of the river. Where was the concrete plant on the south side of the river, on our side of the river?
That I honestly don't know. I'm not familiar with that at all. But when you were talking about a thoroughfare there on Haystack and stuff, Haystack and Finney Cumberland, it was a thoroughfare clear back to prehistoric days. That's where they found the woolly mammoth tusk. That's where the old riverbed used to run and stuff. And then there was a huge logging operation that was all over the backside of Haystack there on Finney Creek, and it had the trolley cars that zigzagged down the mountainside and stuff. There's a lot going on back there.
Okay, Markham, I know you're listening. That means we need to have a very high-tech metal detector.
Oh yeah, you can still see some of the rails, like parts of the little rail cars and stuff there.
Yeah, and I heard there is supposed to be a very small lake somewhere on the backside. Have you heard anything about that?
Just G Lake up there at the top.
That's too far up. I thought I saw it on a map from a long time ago. Maybe it's gone. Because I know there's also underground springs not too far up that come down.
Absolutely. There's some back right behind our ranch. We've got the creek that runs down through there. They all come from underground. But Finney Creek has just huge spots where it comes up from underground into big caverns and stuff.
Okay.
Are these sulfurous hot springs?
No, the hot springs are up at Baker. But up at Finney, they've still got people up there that have their gold mines staked and stuff. There's one crazy old miner up there that actually shot at people because they were swimming in Finney Creek and he thought they were going to be stealing his gold and stuff. True story. That's up for Finney though.
Well, and there's there's elements all over up here. There's supposed to be jasper quarries. There's the crystal quarries there's crystal quarries in Walker Valley over in Big Lake as well. But you got gold, you got crystal, you got all kinds of stones and minerals up in these mountain range areas, which I do believe is one reason for the UFO hotspots. Because I do think some of the UFOs, some of the races are actually harvesting minerals.
Yeah, well, our hills are full of them.
They are, and that would be one explanation possibly for why there's so many UFO sightings up here.
Yeah, there's diamond mines right up there, and there's diamond mines up in Marble Mount, and there's the gold up there at Ruby Creek and Goodell and that area, and then up at Baker and stuff, that's where you have the jasper, and you've got olivine there, the Hamilton area. Then there's talc. There's the talc mines that are up at like Jackman. Ruby. There's ruby and garnet up there at Ruby Creek as well.
Now, how many of these mines are still active?
Well, there's some of them are still active on paper. Like my uncle has talc mines up there, but they haven't been. I don't think there's anything being mined at all anymore. But I think
has anyone actually pulled like significant amounts out?
No, not since, like, for gold, for instance, it had the big rush, like, back in the 1880s and such, and they found a bunch of it, and then it pretty much stopped completely.
That's weird.
The government.
Yeah.
Hey, Eric, this is Gary.
Now, Jamie, wasn't it on the backside of your property that you said they actually found a woolly mammoth?
Yes.
Yeah, I find that fascinating.
Like bones, or actually any of it preserved?
It was a full tusk, and I think it was like 18 feet, and it was a complete tusk. Yeah, it was a complete tusk from the part, I guess, it hits their head to the very point. It was in perfect condition. Washington University, actually, it was Bill Thompson and his son Sean Thompson, who I believe is a teacher up at the Concord School District now, or at least he was. Both of them were. He found it on the way to school one morning, and they called the university, and they came, and it took them. They were up there for a few weeks digging around and trying to find stuff up there, and they preserved it completely. It was beautiful.
Do you know how insane that is that they found a full tusk?
Well, they had Blair Road there on South Skagit and stuff. They have full clams and stuff up there. We found a bunch of it. If you go up on Finney, Cumberland, you can find it up there as well.
But okay, so the woolly mammoths were around from the Mesozoic era.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, with the Mesozoic era. So the last of the glaciers that would have ran through here to the ocean are about maybe 75,000 years after the Mesozoic era to finish forming these mountains. So it is amazing that they found a full tusk complete.
Yes. And like I said, it was Bill Thompson, who was a math teacher at the time, and his son Sean, I think he was only 9 at the time. They were the ones that found it, and they found it poking out of the gravel side of right down by Devil's Elbow area.
Huh.
I actually have a question about that. Do you know, Jamie, why it is called Devil's Elbow?
Actually, I'm not sure. The only thing that I can even hazard a guess is because of the bend right there where the log jam hit it really hard, and it has eroded most of Oak Milk Field.
Okay.
That's a guess.
It's a very interesting term to use for part of that road.
Good.
Yeah, well, like I said, it's it's kind of odd too, because if you go on that area of the highway, the highway goes right to the river, and it's on a big rock cliff, and there's only a couple other like small rock formations in that area, but that one, the whole corner sits on a huge rock.
Okay.
And that's in the Devil's Elbow area?
Yeah. It's right by my king hole. Fishing.
Yeah, I'm reading the comments in the chat, and Nikki said earlier, getting to the psychiatrist side real quick. So the psychiatrist would be good for the team members as well, and yes, the team's actually used Francie for our own issues as well in dealing with client issues, because dealing with 10 or more cases a day, which is our normal caseload, and kind of woke Cole up real quick as to how much work we actually do each day. It does become a strain sometimes on the team, dealing with specific areas of what we deal with. So she is a huge asset, and something I encourage, any paranormal team, that it is highly recommended you find someone in the psychiatric field as an asset for your team.
A question on that. Your 10 cases a day, are you talking like hauntings and possessions and such, or are you talking UFOs, all of it, or what's happening 10 times a day?
All of it. And you got to understand what the team does is global, so I'm not talking locally. I'm talking globally. Right. We deal with cases Australia, Ireland, South Africa, Egypt, the whole spectrum. Most of it entails the haunting side, spirits, passing over spirits, dealing with entities that are more malevolent.
Okay.
Not so much possessions. Possessions are actually very rare. But, malevolent entity attacks are more common. People that wake up with bruising, with scratches, get pushed, things like that. Or even...
Yeah, that's what I was curious. The book back in the 70s, The Entity, I think she was a Spanish lady, or I think her name was Maria something or other, and she was being attacked every single night. She had the bruises and bites and claw marks and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And 10 of those a day.
Again, you get people that argue. They argue that, I've got 3 scratch marks, and that means it's a demon. No, it doesn't. Angry spirits can scratch just as much as a demon can. And so not everything's a demon.
I was going to say, if I'm getting scratched and bit in the middle of the night, I'm not going to care whether it's a demon or, what it is. It's a bad thing, I'm guessing.
It just, the argument is, demon is always the first thing we jump into, and it's paranormal TV that encourages them to do that.
So what do you do?
So the astral team will go in and actually assess what it is. And if it's a spirit, they can communicate with it. They can encourage you to pass over. And usually it's simple as that. If it's a malevolent entity, they find the root cause of it. Why is it here? Because what some people perceive as malevolent isn't always malevolent. And I always think of the troll case where they actually came into our dimension accidentally. They didn't want to be here any more than the client wanted them to be there. And so we basically just had to open the door up for them, get them back home, seal the door, and the case is closed. So we don't just like to jump in and kill what's there. We find out what the root is, find out where it came from, why it's here.
You can kill them?
Yes, you can.
Oh, I thought they would already be dead.
They are, but essentially you send them back where they came from.
Ah, like, okay.
Whatever
So it's like
dimension.
exorcism?
Essentially, yes, but not.
Not in the
How do
terms
you-
of the Catholic Church that you would think of exorcism as, that you